Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to the Angry Birds Fans Podcast. And it's another great day. Another great day. So, some great news came out of Eagles versus Browns joint practice day. It was day one yesterday. Today, they'll have another day of joint practice. So, we'll see how it goes today. But yesterday, there was some encouraging news. There was some not so encouraging news, but all in all, I think it was, from what I saw, a pretty good practice. Now, we're going to discuss how the team did overall, how they did on offense, how they did on defense, and which players stood out. So before we begin, we're here on the podcast live. So if you join the podcast, you can call in, you can comment, and if I don't get to you, don't get upset. I'll try to get to everybody, but it just doesn't happen sometimes. So don't get mad at me. But you can catch us here on Podbean, but you could also catch us on other podcast channels, just like Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and Podchaser. You can also catch us on YouTube at Angry Birds Fans Podcast or Angry Birds Fans Hangout, excuse me. But that's where I post our podcast on YouTube, so you can view it there too or listen to it. So let's get into it. So the offense. So first of all, we had Miles Sanders, who is still hurt. He has a hamstring injury. And also Jason Kelce, of course, with his elbow. So like I went over on the last podcast, it's kind of disappointing that Miles Sanders is hurt, because I'm really looking forward to seeing him perform this season. I think he's a great back when he's on the field, but he's too injury prone. He misses too many games. And I mentioned that if he was to stay on the field, he'll probably be like a leading rusher in the NFL. But he just has to stay healthy. So I don't know if this is just precautions. They just don't want him, to re-aggravate the injury or just to get hurt and not be available when the first game comes. So they might be doing some kind of low management, just like they do in the NBA. But on the Cleveland Browns side, they had Myles Garrett, who was not playing, and also their cornerback Ward. I think he has a foot injury, I believe, but he wasn't playing. So they had two of their starters not playing yesterday. But all in all, I think, what they pretty much were saying is that our offense came out on top. As a team, they say we came out on top, but there's conflicting reports with that. Some people say we won. Some people say the Browns won. And some of it said it came down to our defense at the end of practice that allowed us to be the winner of that practice. But to me, I don't really care about that. I really don't like joint practices. I think, a preseason game is enough practice for these guys. But it's a good thing, though, for them to go up against another team, because in practice or in training camp, they're always going up against each other. So the defense kind of gets used to what the offense is running. They start to adjust. They know what plays are going to be ran, so they can kind of get ahead of it. But here, with the Cleveland Browns, they haven't seen that yet. And the Cleveland Browns runs more of a play action type offense, and they like to run the ball. And then if the run is doing well, they'll start doing play action off of that. So our team is really not. We're more RPO based. We don't do a lot of play actions because we like to be in the shotgun. So it was probably a good practice for our defense. But we'll get into the defense a little later. Now, the 1v1s and the 7v7s, I think we won that hands down. Our receivers, Devontae Smith, Slim Reaper, AJ Brown, Zach Pascal, Quez Watkins, and I even think I heard that Jalen Rager were beating the Cleveland Browns DBs in one-on-ones. Like, they couldn't be stopped. Even Zach Pascal, I heard he shook his DB so bad that dude fell to his knees. So it would have been interesting to see that happen. There weren't a lot of videos that came out of the practice, so we didn't see a lot of highlights. I saw a couple of them, but it was mainly on the Cleveland Browns offensive side, so not a lot on ours. Now, Devontae Smith, man, I think he has I don't know if it's because he missed the first preseason game. Man, he must have had a chip on his shoulder or something. I mean, even throughout camp, AJ Brown's been the one that they've been mentioning. I mean, of course, he's been doing very well. And of course, Devontae Smith was injured. He had I think a groin injury. So they was taking precautions with him. But ever since he's been back, man, that dude, anything that's thrown to him, he hasn't missed. He is catching everything. And that just continued until yesterday. And one of the funny things I saw in I think it was on Twitter was that but before they get started with with these games, like the team leadership get together and they discuss how the practice are going to go. They kind of lay down the ground rules. So they didn't want, they try to avoid any fighting. So they didn't want their guys getting into it and disrupting practice. Because like if somebody fights, it's going to take away time from what you're trying to do out there. And they only have like 2 hours. I think they went like an hour 45 in practice. So they were trying to minimize that, but it still got chippy. It started. It was a lot of shit talking, and one of them was Devontae Smith. He's not known for being a shit talker. Not that I know of. I mean, I'm not on the field with him. Maybe he talks a lot of shit on the field, but I haven't seen a lot of like highlights or anything where he's talking shit to people. But him and Browns Richard LeCount, I think that's how you say his name, LeCounty or LeCount. They were trash talking towards each other, and I guess he played for Georgia when Devontae Smith played for Alabama, and he pretty much told him last time he saw him, he put him on a bench, during their Alabama Georgia days, like when they played in the national championship. So a lot of that stuff was going on, and he was just burning all those DBs, even 11 versus 11s. I mean, if he was catching balls that would be like probably touchdowns during the real game. Our offense didn't score any touchdowns against the defense, but Jalen Hurts was on fire. He didn't throw any interceptions, but AJ Brown was catching passes, Dallas Goedert, and so was Devontae Smith, of course. And I mean, Devontae Smith, he hasn't been getting a lot of, hype during this training camp, but man, he was going off yesterday. And he was showing everybody why he was the number one pick. I'm telling you, this year he's going to shine. As long as he stays healthy, he's going to shine. He's going to eat well this year. And even AJ Brown, he mentioned in the interview that his Devontae Smith, his route running, that's what makes him very special. So, I mean, I'm just looking forward to seeing him this year. I mean, I'm looking forward to AJ Brown, but Devontae Smith is going to make an impact again this year. He did good last year. I mean, when you almost get 1,000 yards as a rookie, I mean, he broke the Eagles' rookie wide receiving record last year. And I think that was who had I can't remember. Sorry. But he also drew on the 7-on-7s or on a 1-on-1. He drew a DPI, and he would have been like 4 for 4 on that, and so would the Jalen Hurts. And Jalen Hurts, they say was looking good. He was rolling left through a dart to AJ Brown, and it was good coverage, and AJ Brown was able to bring it down. So all in all, I mean, other than them not scoring any touchdowns, the offense did pretty good against the Browns defense. Now, our second and third string offense, oh, that's another story. Reese Sinnett, I don't understand why we haven't seen Carson Strong yet. I haven't heard anything. He's not on the injury report. So, I mean, is he just, I mean, do they feel that he's not up to that level yet? I mean, he's got to be better than Sinnett. But Sinnett ended up throwing a pick in the practice, and then Gardner Minshew threw a pick. I don't know what's wrong with Gardner Minshew this season, but he hasn't been playing well, and we need him to play well because if Jalen Hurts gets hurt, he's got to come in there and carry the team. So I don't know if he's just like trying like new things because it's practice, but he has to get his stuff together. Right now, I don't see how people are saying they wanted to start Gardner Minshew over Jalen Hurts. Other than that, there was a big play they said that happened on the line yesterday. They said Lander Dickerson, man, planted one of the Browns linebackers. Man, they said you could hear that hit across the field. It was crazy. I mean, I think our line is going to do pretty well. And Lane Johnson, like I said earlier, Myles Garrett was out, but Lane Johnson faced off with Jadeveon Clowney throughout most of the practice. And I think Clowney got him one time, maybe. And it was because Lane Johnson lost his balance. But man, our line is going to be great. Jordan Mailata didn't get to go against Myles Garrett. I'm pretty sure that's what he wanted. And that would have been a good matchup. It only would have helped Jordan Mailata. get better. Yeah, Malata, I don't think he allowed any sacks or like any types of pressures on Jalen Hurts. It kind of sucks with these preseason, the joint practices, because you can't see those guys. Like you have to be there in person. I just wish they had like somebody like videoing the whole thing the whole time so you can see what's going on. But of course, it's practice, and they don't like to do that. So we just have to rely on updates from like the sideline reporters or the beat writers who are there. So let's go over to the defense. Now, the defense is another story. Um, there were reports that they were allowing 25-yard passes down the field. But granted, okay, before I go into that any deeper, I have to say that James Bradbury was out for an injury. I think it's his groin. His groin is injured. So he didn't practice. So they had Zach McPherson out there. And they said Zach McPherson played pretty well. I mean, I'm sure some of those 25 yarders were against him, but it's going to happen. I mean, you can't be perfect all the time. But they said he handled his own. He he probably going to be in a good backup for James Bradbury. But I just wish James Bradbury was out there. I wanted to see what he or hear what he did. I didn't hear too much about Slay though, because some of the video highlights I saw, it wasn't the first team defense out there. It was a second string defense. So they were. I mean, in the videos I saw, they were getting passed on and juked and ran on. Um, but all in all, they struggled against the play action pass, and they admitted it. They were saying that they haven't seen that yet in camp, so they kind of struggled with it at first, but then they settled down a little bit, and they were starting to stop it. But on some of the, I think on some of the playlist I've seen from the let's see, from the Browns offense. Um, I'm trying to see if I can find it. I can't see it. But I think they had like a run for it. It was a short run. They had a pressure and a sack, but then they had a 20-yard pass, and then there was a big, like not a big run, but like a medium run, and then they put pressure on the quarterback. I think another sack, and Josh Sweat, they said was getting a lot of pressure on the quarterback. I think they said he had a couple of sacks yesterday, so I think he's improving too. Um, I think Hassan Reddick had pressure too on the sack. And Kaiser White in the video highlight, I saw he had the interception. So they were playing pretty good. I think they ended up stopping them. And that eventually led to people saying the Eagles won the game or won the practice. I just don't believe in that. I mean, it's a practice. You're going to have ups and downs because you're going to run stuff that you necessarily won't run in the game. So you might do a blitz on here just to practice it, and they might be running a play that beats the blitz and gets to 20 yards. So you might not necessarily run that in the game. So all in all, I think they did a pretty good job from what I've seen and heard. I mean, it's not nothing to get excited over, but it's positive things, you know. I mean, hearing Jalen Hurts not turning the ball over is great, but he also didn't score any touchdowns. Even though some of those passes they said could have been a touchdown, because I'm pretty sure they weren't like tackling to the ground. They were like, okay, we're just gonna wrap or touch you, and they probably say he was down, whoever the receiver was catching the ball, and it could have been a touchdown in the game. But who knows? That's why it's called practice. We'll find out on Sunday when they play the preseason game. And I'm still kind of interested in seeing if Nick Sirianni is going to play the starters for any, like at least one series, like he did last game. I mean, that would be great. But I mean, I would understand if he didn't, because you don't want anybody to get injured, especially Jalen Hurts, because it was kind of scary when he took that hit last week. So all in all, we'll hear some more today from the second joint practice. They don't practice until 2, so we probably won't get a lot of updates until after then. But I'm looking forward to hearing about improvements in this practice. So if they went back, review what they did wrong, don't repeat the same mistakes again in the next day practice. So if they played good yesterday, they should play a lot better today. And the Browns, I mean, of course, they're going to do the same thing. So it still could be even. But I'm looking at our Eagles to play a lot better and for this not to be a close practice. If people are, judging it like on who won or lost, I don't want it to be like, oh no, the Eagles won. Oh no, the Browns won. So what was it? I just want there to be like, man, the Eagles straight dominated today. I mean, that's what I want to hear. So we'll see. But the game is on Sunday at 1:00. So I might go live during the game, at least for the first half, maybe, and try to, just kind of show what's happening during the game. Because not everybody gets to see these games. But I think the Sunday games are played on the regular channels. So I know if you live in Philly, you should see the game. But if you live outside of Philly, you might not see it. So, but you'll have me, at least probably for the first half, give you like some of the updates and highlights occurring during the game. So other than that, I appreciate everybody that's listening to this podcast, that's supporting the podcast. I appreciate you. Let's bring all Eagles fans together and let's do an Angry Birds fans hangout. Until next time, have a great day.